Good evening, everyone.
Evening.
How's everyone? How's your day been going?
We good, thank you.
Good, that's good. I wanted to give some space for other people to join, but it looks like maybe others will probably join later on. So I'm just going to get started. Could you just in the chats leave your name and also are you a parent, student, just so that we're aware of who is with us today? And can you please mute your mic if you're not saying anything, just so that everything is quiet. Very good to have you here, Tracy. Nice to have you, Sarah, as well as your children. It's nice to have you here. Okay, so we can get started. So today's workshop basically is how to learn mathematics effectively. And I'm going to go through a few strategies so that it will be easy for learners to implement when studying mathematics. And I'm just going to go through a few common errors that most students go through, as well as how to address those errors. So please feel free. If you have any questions, please feel free to leave your questions in the chat. Or if you would like to say something, could you just maybe keep it in mind? We will have a question and answer section at the end, unless there's a part where I say, could you answer something, or then could you just give answers? So, yeah, let's just get straight to it. Okay, so have you ever been in class, maybe listening to the teacher, and it makes all perfect sense, and then you feel like a genius, but when you get home and you open your book, suddenly it's like the math has turned into a foreign language and your brain is totally blank. I don't know if any of you have felt that way. If you have, please unmute your mic, share with us how was your experience? Like in class, you're hearing what the teacher's saying, and when you get home, it's blank. Students, please feel free to unmute your mic. Just we're all here just to have conversations and stuff. It's a safe space. Milling, have you ever gone through that?
Anna. Anna. Hi,
Hi, how are you?
I'm fine and you?
I'm good. So have you ever gone through that experience where you're in class
Yes.
and how is it? How do you tackle it?
I'm not taking it me.
Okay. It's just one of those things, but don't worry, we've all been there.
Yeah.
And today I'm just going to show you guys how to just stop that.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so I want to ask you guys something. So let's do a little game. So I want everyone to pick a number. So it can be any number that you would like and double it. So just double it and then add 10 and then divide by 2 and then just subtract your original number. So any number, it could be any number. I want everyone to give that a try. Did you guys get your answer? Please use the chat to respond if you feel uncomfortable with animating it. Okay, so if you picked a number, you doubled it, you added 10, divided by 2, and you subtracted your original number, yes, your answer is 5. Yes, the answer is 5. So no matter what number you picked, your answer will always be 5. And that's the key word. Math isn't magic, it's a pattern. And if you follow the steps or you follow the code, you get the results every single time. So it's all about knowing the steps, knowing the code, and at the end of the day, you will still get to your answer. So it's not magic, it's just a pattern. So let's look at some survivor tactics that everyone can use. So the first one is the brain dump. So the concept with this is not leaving a page blank. So not leaving a page blank. So I understand sometimes you do not know what to write in the question. Just do not leave anything blank at all. Write whatever you know, right? Which you know. So that's the first thing that I'm going to share with everyone. So let's say, for example, we have something like this. So they're asking us a rectangular garden has a perimeter of 20 meters and the length is 6 meters. What is the area? So the first thing that you would do is try to write or to draw the image. So draw the rectangle for yourself. Okay, so here's a little rectangle. Draw your rectangle. Then write down what you have. So if this is 6 meters, that means that other side is 6 meters. So if we say 6 meters plus the 6 meters, both of these sides will give you 12 meters. But they're saying 20 meters. So if we say 12 minus 20 minus 12, it will get you 8. So if the other side is 8, that means this side will be 4 and that side will be 4. And now you can be able to calculate your area by using length times width. So even if you didn't know how to solve the answer, at least do this for yourself. Draw the shape or whatever it is, and then figure out what the sides are, figure out what they're looking for, and just try writing something. So the first concept is the brain dump. And with this, do not leave anything blank. Write down what you know. We always say this to our students. You will get a few marks some way, somehow, even if you didn't get to the final answer. So that's the first thing. Does anyone have any questions? No questions. Okay, then the next concept that I'm going to share with you guys is the no leftover rule. So with this, every number in the question is a tool. So every number in question is a tool. And what I mean by this is if you don't use something from the question, if you didn't use it, you're not yet done. If you didn't use it, you aren't done. So let's look at an example. So for example, it says Sarah buys 3 notebooks for 5 Rand each and pens for 10 Rand. She pays with a 50 Rand bill. How much is her change? So most students would probably just say, okay, we can do 3 times 5, which will give us 15. And then from that 15, we add 10, and that will give us 25. So that's how much we pay. And then just leave it like that. But what about this one? What about the 50 Rand here? So the concept with this is every single number in the question needs to be used some way, somehow. You cannot leave anything out. They didn't write this 50 just to decorate or whatever. So in order to get all your full marks, you need to make sure, okay, I used the 3, I used the 5 Rand, I used the 10 Rand. Now I'm left with this 50 Rand, so it needs to go somewhere. Then you can see for yourself, okay, they want to figure out how much is the change. So you'll just say 50 minus 25, and then you'll get your answer. So that's the second concept that will get you a lot of marks. So just a recap to those who just joined. The first thing that survivor tactics that we have is the brain dump. So with this, making sure that you do not leave a page blank, write what you know. Do not skip any questions whatsoever. So even if you don't know how to get to the answer, write whatever it is that you know, and I guarantee you, you will get a mark. It's better to get 1 mark than getting 0 marks, and that's just it's better. Then tip number B is the no leftover rule. So every number in the question is a tool. If you didn't use it, you are not yet done. And we just looked at an example. So always make sure that you look at your question, see which number you didn't use, and if there's something that you didn't use, then you are not done with your question. So let's not skip any marks. Does anyone have any questions? Okay. So let's continue. So let's look at some tips that are very helpful. So the first tip is the mindset tip. You don't need to be fast, you need to be accurate. So do not rush to finish the question or rush to finish the paper. You need to be accurate. So reading through the question carefully before trying to rush through everything. Because 9 out of 10, we figured that students, they finish their test with 30 minutes left in the exam room and they say they're done. And clearly they were just rushing through it. So always make sure that you need to be accurate. Write what you know, like what we just discussed, instead of trying to rush through everything. Then the second tip is reading the question. Circle the instruction word. Are they saying you need to solve? Are they saying you need to factorize? Do you need to simplify? Underline what is given and box what is required. So if we were looking at this case or this scenario over here, we can underline what is given, which is 20 meters. We were given the 6 meters, and the question over here is what is the area? So that's what's needed of us to achieve from this question. Then for algebra, you need to always know that your same basis, you need to add or subtract the powers, brackets first. So this is very powerful for all grades, and that is your BODMAS. It applies to all grades in mathematics. When trying to solve something, always make sure that you use BODMAS, and that is very, very important. Always start with your brackets, then the exponents, then we have division, multiplication, addition, as well as subtraction. Do not start with subtraction first before doing your brackets. So this is very essential for mathematics. Then we also have whatever you do on one side, you need to do on the other side, and we'll look at examples later on in this workshop. Then dealing with exponents, you need to know your laws of exponents. Like if you're multiplying, you add the powers. If you're dividing, you subtract the powers. Power of a power, you need to multiply the powers. If you have a negative exponent, you need to move to denominator. Then when dealing with surds, your quadratics, surds, when you're multiplying, they fall under one root. Only add like surds, rationalize the denominator. Quadratics, you need to always know your formula. So you need to put in ax squared plus bx plus c is equals to 0. Check if it factorizes. If not, you need to use your quadratic formula. Always write two roots. Then for your exam techniques, you need to show every step, method marks. Like I said earlier on, if you do not know anything, try to write as much as you can, and that falls under the method marks. If you stuck, write what you do know. Estimate your answer to check if it makes sense. And always, for confidence tip, math is patterns, not magic. And mistakes show you where to improve. So the more mistakes you make, the better you become. And that's something that every student needs to know. Okay, so let's continue. So now let's look at the work smarter study secret. So if you guys did not join from our previous workshop, we learned about how to study effectively, and this is what is more important. So your your brain in general, like your brain is like a battery. So every time you do something, let's say after 20 minutes or after 2 hours of studying, then the battery just starts to finish. It starts to run out. So instead of trying to study or sit and practice mathematics or any subject for that matter, instead of trying to do it for 2 hours, we we recommend the 25 rule. So 20 minutes of full studying. So 20 minutes you zone in, you study, you practice, you do like do not get distracted. Then after 20 minutes, you get a 5 minute of rest. During that rest, do not use your phone. No phones allowed. This is the time to get up, stretch, go to the bathroom, go to the kitchen, go drink some water, and come back. And that rest is when now you keep on filling your battery, so that you are ready for the next 20 minutes of study. So 20 minutes you study, 5 minutes you rest, stretch, drink water, come back, another 20 minutes. This is helpful. This is better than trying to study and grasp everything in 2 hours. Because now, by the time you reach the 2 hour mark, your battery's already finished. You'll be making mistakes or probably not even learning anything. Because I'm sure someone has experienced studying and then they're like, okay, I studied, I know this. And then after that 2 hours, they don't know anything. That's because halfway through the 2 hours, the battery just finished. And there's nothing that you're going to grasp if your battery is finished. So please make sure that you use the 25 rule. 20 minutes study, 5 minute rest. Okay. So does anyone have a specific topic maybe that you always get blank on? Students, any topic that you've just studied and after that you just go blank? Please feel free to answer, unmute. You can check.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good, and how are you?
I'm good. I'm similar, okay?
All right, nice to meet you, Simone. Nice to have you here.
Um, I have a topic that I'm struggling with. I'm doing mathematical literacy.
Okay,
I'm struggling with ratio on rates and how to round them off.
okay. So do you feel like when you study it and when it's time to answer questions, you just feel blank?
Yes, and then I don't understand. Maybe I can understand at school, but when I arrive at home, when I do a revision, like I'm struggling to get some answers.
Yeah, yeah. So How do you study? Do you do the 20 minutes or do you study like 2 hours trying to figure everything out and still nothing?
No, I'm doing like 20 minutes revision and then like nothing, like it's improving. I don't know.
Okay. And what grade are you?
I'm in grade 10. I'm doing EFT.
Okay. All right. Well, don't stress. We'll definitely tackle that. And like I'm saying, try implementing this work smarter study secret. Make sure you start with 20 minutes, then you rest 5 minutes, then you repeat the process until you feel like you're okay, and then try that. And then you'll see a very big difference.
Okay, thank you so much.
Right, no problem. Anyone else would like to share? Okay, so now let's move on to success checklist. So this is a checklist that I always like to mention. First, you need to draw it. So sometimes visuals work better for students. Hence why in the previous example, when we were talking about rectangular shape, area, and stuff like that, drawing it would have been essential for another student. So sometimes visuals are more important than mental math. So trying to remember something all at once is just, yeah, it's a problem. So try to visualize something and then it will make it easier. Then dump it. Dump it meaning write what you know. So we've discussed this already. Write what you know. Okay. So immediately if you see something, maybe the question says, what is the simple interest of this? The first thing you need to know is your formula. Write that. Dump everything that you know, everything, any clues that you can see from the question. It's very, very important. Then use it all, no leftovers. We discussed this earlier on, where I discussed and said every number that they put in the question needs to be used somewhere. If you didn't use any number, then something went wrong. There's something that you're missing. Then reverse it. Plug your answer back to check if it's correct. So plug answer back to check if it's correct. So this normally falls for your pure math students when you have to solve for x. Then once you solve for x, take that value for x, put it in your equation and see if you're getting the correct answer. So plug your answer to check. And then again, the 25 rule, protect your brain battery. So that's what we just discussed now. Protect your brain battery. 20 minutes study, 5-minute rest. Okay, now let's do a few questions. So everyone, please feel free to participate. I will go through a few questions. So the first question, I will explain the concept. And then the next question, I will ask the students to just give it a try, put the answer in the chat, or you can raise your hand, unmute your mic, just give us the answer. And then if someone would like to try it, you can feel free to just say in the chat that you'd like to try the question. And then, yeah, let's do this. It will get harder and harder over time, so please just bear with me. So the first one, let's say the question says, a farmer packs eggs into boxes. Okay, so before I get started, please guys, feel free. We need everyone to try this. This is how we learn, and there's no making mistakes. Mistakes is just a way of getting better. So please participate. You can unmute your mic, you can write the answer in the chat, and let's just all do this together. So a farmer packs eggs into boxes. Each box holds 6 eggs. He has 29 eggs. How many full boxes can he pack and how many eggs will be left over? So the way in which you can handle this. So the first thing, like I said earlier on, is you need to see what you have. So we have 6 eggs, we have 29 eggs, and they tell us that for each box it can hold 6. So in order to get to your answer, you need to divide to find out how many boxes can he pack and how many eggs will be left over. So you can do your division, you can do it whichever way you'd like, or you could just use your calculator depending on the grade level. You have your 29 over there, and we can see that 6 can go into 29 four times, and we can say 6 times 4, you can write that. Then you have your 24, you minus 9 minus 4 will give you 5, that will give you 0, then that's remainder 5. So how many full boxes can you pack? You can pack 4 full boxes, and how many eggs will be left over? 5. So this also goes back to reading your question carefully. You need to be able to see this word. They're not asking you one question, they're asking you two questions in one sentence. So please do not miss anything. I hope that this makes sense. Pretty straightforward. It does get harder as we move on. Does anyone have any questions? Okay, then the next one. There are 3 buses, and each bus can carry 8 children. There are 29 children who need to go on a trip. How many buses will be full? How many children will be left over? Will you need a fourth bus for the remaining children? So students, I want you to try this one. I'll give like 2 minutes to try it, and then please write your answers in the chat, and then let's all just discuss and work together. Okay, has anyone figured it out yet? Okay, I see we have one answer. So you said 3 buses will be full, 5 children will be left over, and a fourth bus will be needed. Okay, I see someone else is typing. So let's see. Okay, 4 kids will be left. All right, let's see. We have someone saying 5. We have someone saying 4. 3 buses will be full. Okay, I'll give it like 2 more minutes. 5 need an extra bus. 5 need bus. Okay, so let's look at it. Okay, so well done to all those who tried. I see some are saying 4 kids will be left, some are saying 5. So let's see. Let's see. Okay, so 3 buses, each bus can carry 8 children. Okay, so in order to find out how many children it can carry, we can say 3 times 8. 3 times 8, because we have 3 buses, and from those 3 buses, it can all carry 8 children. So we can say 3 times 8, and that will give us 24 children. Then from there, going back to that first thing that I said, all the numbers mean something. We can see we have 29 children. So 29 minus 24, so that we can find out how many children will be left over. And if we say 29 minus 24, we will get 5 left over. Left over. Okay, so how many buses will be full? 3 buses will be full. How many children will be left over? 5 children will be left over. And will you need a 4th bus for the remaining children? Yes. So well done for getting these answers correct. Well done for those who tried. I hope you saw where your mistake was. Remember, seeing your mistake is how we grow. Okay, so let's look at the next one. So the next one, pretty straightforward, fractions. We're all familiar with fractions. They're saying 6 minus 5, 6 over 5 minus 4 over 3. So I'm going to give a few tips when dealing with fractions. So the first thing, you need to make sure that your denominators are the same. So in this case, we can see our denominators, we have 5 and we also have 3. They are not the same. So how do we get them to be the same? That's step 2. You need to find the LCM, the lowest common multiple. So if we look at the multiples of 5 and the multiples of 3, we can say 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, and it goes on. Multiples of 3 is 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, goes on and on. The lowest common multiple says to us the number that is both in these two numbers, that is the lowest. So we can see we have 15 over there. We also have 15 over there. So our lowest common multiple in this case will be 15. So we need to change the denominators to become 15. And that leads us to the third step. What you do on the bottom, you need to also do on the top. So we have 6 over 5 minus, let's see, I'm writing this wrong, minus 4 over 3. So 5 to get to 15, we're going to multiply by 1, 2, 3. So times 3 on the bottom, times 3 on top. Then for 3 to get to 15, we're going to multiply by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Times 5 on the bottom, times 5 on top. What you do on the bottom, you do on top. Then now we can solve. So we can say 6 times 3 will give us 18 over 15. And then 4 times 5 will give us 20 over 15. So minus. Then if we say 18 minus 20, it will give us minus 2. And that's your answer, over 15. Now your bases were the same, and that's how you get to your answer. So you cannot solve this if your bases are not the same. So please make sure your denominators are the same by finding the lowest common multiple and then being able to multiply. What you do on top, you do on the bottom. And this applies for whenever you're subtracting and when you're adding fractions. When you're multiplying, if this was a 6 over 5 times 4 over 3. All you just do, you multiply the top, multiply the bottom, and you get your answer. Any questions? Okay, if you have any questions, please ask because we're going to do an example and you have to figure it out. So any questions? Okay, nothing. Right, let's move on to another one. So this one is a bit challenging because one value you need to find. So that's the only hint that I'll say. So a chocolate slab is shared and learner A, it's 3 over 8. Learner B eats 1 over 4. What fraction of the chocolate is left? So I want you guys to please try it. And you can type your answers in the chat. 5 over 3. Okay. We'll wait for like one more answer and we can continue. Okay, so the question says a chocolate slab is shared. A learner eats 3 over 8 and learner B eats 1 over 4. So we can see that we need to add these two together. So we'll say 3 over 8 plus 1 over 4. We need to get the denominators to be the same, so we can just multiply by 2. Then we'll get 3 over 8 plus 2 over 8. Then if we say 3 plus 2, it gets 5 over 8. So that's how many, the fraction of what learner A and learner B ate. Now they're saying what fraction of the chocolate is left. So they didn't give us what the whole chocolate is. So what you need to know is for one whole, it can either be 2 over 2, it can be 3 over 3, can be 4 over 4. So the same number as the denominator and the numerator will give you your 1, which is one whole. So in order for us to get the whole chocolate, it will be 8 over 8 because at the moment we're dealing with the base of 8. Then we'll say 8 over 8 minus what was eaten, which is 5 over 8. And if we say 8 minus 5, we'll get 3 over 8. And that becomes our answer. So well done for those who tried. And yeah, so that's the answer. Okay, so unfortunately, I was going to go through so many of them, but because of the time, I'm just going to go to the common errors as well as how to fix them. So the common errors that we've seen that students make is careless mistakes, like wrong sign. When the answer is a -2 or -3, and then the student puts a +3 or +2. That's the first common mistake that we get. Or copying numbers incorrectly. So you can have a sum that says 3x plus 2, and then you see this on the question paper, but then whenever you're trying to calculate, then you say 4x plus 3. Then now you didn't write the correct question. So you need to make sure that you copy the numbers correctly. Okay, so slow down, underline the key numbers, and do a final check of signs and units. So this is very important, signs and units. If your answer needs to be in centimeters, do not just write 9. 9 what? You need to make sure that you say 9 centimeters. So this is very important. Then the other thing is weak basics. So you don't know your tables, like your times tables. You don't know fraction, percentage errors. So that's where now you get questions wrong. So you need to be able to revise basics daily, and that's your multiplications or whatever it is. Even though you use a calculator, you need to know your basics. Practice mental maths. Redo simple questions until you can do it fast and accurate. The other mistake that we've seen is not showing your working. So not showing how you got to the answer. If you know what the answer is by just looking at the question, then good. But you need to show your steps. Write every step, even for easy questions. And that's how you get marks. You need to look at the mark allocation. Sometimes it will say 3 marks. You can't expect to write one line and expect to get full 3 marks. So you need to make sure that you write each and every single step. Then the other common error that we see is misunderstanding the question. So solving for the wrong value or maybe ignoring units, like I mentioned earlier. The question is asking for centimeters and you write meters. Or the question is asking for X and you solve for Y. Whatever it is, that's a misunderstanding of the question. So you need to be able to read your question twice. You need to circle what is asked and you need to check if your answer makes sense. Because if they're asking you how many apples was there and you say there was 2 bananas, the answer doesn't make sense to the question. So you need to be able to check if your answer makes sense. Then the other thing is formula errors. So let's say you need to find the simple interest or the compound interest and you mistakenly use the wrong formula. That will make you lose marks very fast. So you need to be able to make sure that you can see use the correct formula. So write formulas before solving, practice choosing the correct formula, and create a formula summary sheet. I know when you get to certain grades like 11 and matric, there's a formula sheet at the end of your question paper. So make sure to use that. Then rushing in tests, easy marks are lost early. So start with easy questions. Manage time per question. So do not try and sit 10 minutes on one question, whereas you could have probably been solving a question that takes you 2 minutes. So if you can solve other questions earlier, do that. That way it will give you more time to have to try figuring out the questions that you're struggling with. That way you're done with all the easy questions, and then now you can really focus on the questions that are hard for you. Then avoiding difficult questions. This is a common error that we see a lot, which goes back to those tips that I gave earlier on. Attempt every question. Even if you don't know how you're going to get to the answer, use whatever they've given you. Use the numbers. It's always a sign to do something. So at least write down as much as you can, then just avoiding those questions completely. And then not reviewing mistakes. So you get the same errors. So let's say you keep on practicing and you keep on getting the answers wrong, but you're not trying to see where are you going wrong? How can I get this right? Because at the end of the day, in order to improve in anything, whatever it is in life, you need to be able to know what your mistake is and be able to know that, okay, I'm not going to do this again. So if you do not review your mistakes and you see them as failure, then it's a problem. So you need to make sure that you see your mistakes as a way to improve. Then the last one is math anxiety or panic, where the mind goes blank. Do not panic, just breathe, slow down. Start with the easy marks and practice under timed conditions. So sometimes parents, when your child is studying, just maybe give them a few questions to do and say, okay, I'll give you 60 minutes or I'll give you 2 minutes to figure this out. It works because we figured that most students, they don't even reach to the end of the question paper because they try spending 20 minutes on one question and they lose marks on all the other questions because they didn't have time. So please make sure that you make them practice under timed conditions. Okay, and then we're almost done. Let's look at, okay, so how to study maths effectively. So the first thing, understand, do not memorize. Know why the steps are there. know why we have to say x and then take the other number to the other side and minus or divide or whatever. You need to know why. Why do we have to make the bases the same? Why do we have to do this? Why? That's a reason for you to understand something. Because if you don't understand and you try to memorize, if that same question gets asked in a different way, you will not know how to do it. Then you need to master the basics. So your times tables, your fractions, your algebra rules, that is important. You need to master them. Practice daily, 20 to 30 minutes every day. I know there's other subjects, there's other things to do, but try to practice at least 20 minutes every day. Use examples. Try them yourself before checking answers. So don't rush to see the answer without trying it yourself. Learn from your mistakes, write down and fix errors. So, how did I get this wrong? Where did I go wrong? Show all you're working. You earn method marks. So, the more you write, the more chances you get for marks. And then start with easy questions and tests to build confidence. And then use past papers because they show exam patterns. There's so many times I've seen a question in maybe 2025 exam paper that was there in 2019 exam paper. So making sure that you use past papers and ask for help early. Don't let gaps grow because if you missed something in grade 6 or grade 2, it will haunt you later on. So please make sure that you follow this. And this is how to study maths effectively. Okay, so that's it for today's workshop. I don't know if anyone has some questions or it's a question and answer time. Okay, so no questions. Well, thank you so much for attending. This took longer than I expected, but thank you so much for joining. I hope this was helpful and I hope that you've learned something. Please, we'll leave the chat open. If you have any other questions, please feel free to send a message on WhatsApp. If there's anything that you missed or would like to know, just please feel free to let us know. And thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it and all the best. I hope you all enjoy the rest of your evening.